Hello and welcome. I'm Brian Haney, Vice President of Customer Success with Deltek, and we're here today to talk about a critically important issue for project-based businesses around human capital, and specifically the retention of talent. I'm joined today by Dan Carusi, Vice President of the Talent and Learning Practice at Deltek University. Welcome, Dan. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Brian.
So, Dan, let's start with the issue around project-based businesses and when they lose folks and the money that is lost and the time that's lost when folks leave a project-based organization. Are there key reasons that you see folks leaving those types of organizations as opposed to other types of companies?
Yeah, a couple reasons. And first, project-based organizations, their business is people. So retaining talent is incredibly important. But some of the factors that are influencing turnover and retention within those organizations, one is just a burnout factor. The billable work and the type of work they do puts more pressure on employees, and they can only sustain that so long. So that definitely has an impact on people. The other issue is development opportunities and growth. If they don't see the opportunity to grow within an organization, they tend to look for other options, and sometimes internally and unfortunately externally as well. And then the other one is, we always say people don't leave their companies, they leave their managers. So poor leadership or not having the right management in place can also have an impact. But I think one that's specific to project-based organizations is contributing to meaningful work and a long-term strategy. Employees just don't understand what their role is doing. They're so in the weeds every day working on their projects that they don't see how they're contributing to the long-term growth and strategy of a company.
So let's talk about that strategy for a second. And at that strategic level, in your experience, you've been doing this a long time, as you look at those best practices, what are companies doing strategically to make sure they're retaining that top talent?
Well, so there's a couple things. One, you have to identify who the top talent is within your organization, and then put the right plan in place to be able to work with them. The first best practice and strategy is you have to develop your talent. You have to be able to show them there's opportunity to grow within your organization. If not, it's going to be tempting to look somewhere else. The other best practice, it's more of a change management effort, is really educating and communicating to everyone what their role is and how they are contributing and what value they bring to an organization. Those two combined have a significant impact on retaining your top talent.
So taking that a level deeper, any key tactics that you've seen used that have worked successfully for companies as they look to retain those core individuals?
Well, I think there are, and you can use technology as a way to do this. Is first, from an assessment standpoint, is take a look at whether they're pulse or engagement surveys and assessments across your organization to really kind of take the temperature of the organization and see where people are. And then based on that, you can come back with the right activities to start driving more engagement and ultimately retention of the talent. Social collaboration platforms to be able to allow people to come together and communicate better. People that collaborate and work better together tend to enjoy their work more and tend to stay more engaged and stay within the organization. And just strong communication. Make sure you're communicating across all parts of the company and organization, focused on where there's opportunities for people to develop and grow and be successful.
So I know you talk quite often about the importance of getting someone hooked in early. Getting those employees onboarded quickly and getting them tied into the mission of the organization at an early stage. Are there things that companies can do specifically for those folks that may have just joined them to make sure that they're being easily and early hooked in?
Yeah, so onboarding and early coming into the company early is critical, because within the first day, people know whether they're going to stay or not. So that first impression is very, very important. And I don't look at it as an onboarding process. It's more of an assimilation process into an organization. So what we do from an onboarding standpoint and getting people to, whether it's processing the paperwork faster or getting access to the knowledge across the company about my benefits or compensation, whatever it may be, drives engagement faster and sooner. And build a 90-day plan on here's what you need to accomplish in the first 90 days. Here's what you're going to start developing and growing. Over-communicate with their leadership in those first 90 days is really going to determine whether they come or go. Unfortunately, most of the retention across the industry is within the first 6 months of their employment.
So you mentioned communications with those leaders early on. What are the core responsibilities of the leadership in employee retention?
So the leaders have to drive it. There has to be visibility from top down that they're supporting any development and activities to retain employees, that they're supporting their initial ramp up, that they're making themselves available to communicate the vision, the culture, everything about the company that's important to employees, that they play an active role in it. One, the new employee sees the ownership from leadership and has a much better overall feeling towards the company, but also sends a message to everyone else in the company that this is our culture and this is our philosophy as an organization.
So you mentioned a minute ago tools and the importance that tools play in this. Any technology best practices that you see being used for leveraging employee retention, talent retention, those types of things?
So I would say number one is automate the onboarding process. Take away any of the manual processes around completing paperwork, the compliance pieces to it, whereas it can be very cumbersome. That creates that initial frustration. Finding data and information about the company, if you can automate that and use technology to have, whether it be an onboarding portal or different, you can utilize a learning management system to do your compliance training. Anything you can do to take away that frustration, especially during the assimilation process through technology, is the best practice you want to implement.
Well, thanks, Dan, for being with us today. Appreciate all your insights.
Thank you very much.